Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, it's an honor. I truly feel like an honor to be sitting here with you guys, two people who are just so incredibly accomplished, making some of us really feel bad about ourselves. But, although your careers are very different, you both have broken so many barriers to get where you are today. So can't wait to dive in and talk more about it. But I think for those that maybe don't know the full story, I wanted to start with like a little snippet. Tell us a little bit about yourself and some of your accomplishments, because I think that's the most impressive way to start. So you want to start, Dustin?
Yeah, I'm Dustin Poirer. I'm a mixed martial arts fighter. I've been fighting for about 16 years. Started when I was 17 years old. Fought my way through the ranks in the WC and the UFC. Became the UFC interim lightweight champion. Fought at 2 weight classes in the UFC. Have a bunch of longevity records in the UFC. I have a lot of fights there. It's one thing to get there. It's another thing to stay there for over a decade, and I've done that. But that's it. Just chasing dreams and fighting since I was a kid got me in a great position, and I'm thankful for it.
Yeah.
So hi, everyone. My name is Katya Echazaretta. I was originally born in Mexico. My family moved to the US when I was 8. I became an electrical engineer and started my career at NASA, where I've worked on over 5 NASA missions. I built circuits for the Perseverance rover, for Europa Clipper, for space telescopes. And while I was there, I realized, you know what, this is not enough for me yet. My dream has always been to be an astronaut. So while pursuing my career at NASA, I came across an application for a mission to space. I applied in a process that took 3 years. I was selected out of 7,000 applicants from all over the world. They selected one person.
Wow.
And that person was me. So thank you. So that was a very impactful mission, because after that mission, based on my first statement, I was born in Mexico. So I became the very first Mexican-born woman in space. I love you.
I don't think many people here can say they've been to space, so I'm quite impressed. I think we all are. I think between both of your careers, there's got to be stepping stones, right? To your point, it was a process. To your point, it was a process, years and years training to do what you're doing. So you have to hit some failures along the way, right? And I think anyone doing content creation or a career in general, you're going to kind of face some hardships and failures. So what's the steps to get out of that? How do you push through and persevere and keep going to get where you are today? Probably different steps for both of you.
Yeah.
First of all, congratulations on
Yeah.
The thought of going to outer space scares me to death. I'd rather fight a 1,000 men.
I don't want to fight anyone, especially men, so we're good.
For me, I've had ups and downs in my career. The thing that I've always done to get back on track is just like immerse myself in work again. That kind of drowns out the noise. Stay off of social media a little bit. Stop listening to all the voices out there, and kind of focusing on what I can control has really helped me out a lot whenever I find times that I'm down. But getting back to work, trying to learn from the lessons that I've had in the cage from the losses, and try not to make those same mistakes again. And I kind of transfer that to my everyday life as well, as a husband and a father. When I do things that I'm not proud of, or when I do make mistakes in personal life, I look back and try not to do that again. And that's my whole career in fighting has been not making the same mistakes twice and learning from them and implementing and trying to adapt and add them to my arsenal of combat sports. But the main thing for me is just drown out all the noise and all the negativity with work.
Yeah.
So for me, I think it's been really important to understand something. You're going to fail, and you're going to fail a lot, and it's going to be horrible sometimes. You don't get to outer space without failure along the way. You just don't. But I started adopting something that has actually helped me a lot. And if you take anything away from the way that I have of just looking at life, especially after seeing the literal planet, basically, I like to think of failure and all the different obstacles along the way as just part of my story for when I do make it. Because you have to truly, genuinely believe you're going to make it. If you want to do something this big, you have to believe it more than anyone else, because nobody else is going to believe it until you do it. Do you want to know how many people in my life come up to me now that I knew from elementary school, high school, college, that laughed in my face when I said that I wanted to do this, that are now going around telling people, oh, I always knew she would. I always believed in her. But that comes after. So think about it that way. This is just the story I'm going to tell, and it's going to be such a good story. It's going to make such a good movie about my life one day, because all of this drama is just going to lead up to this final moment. So every time I go through those, I'm just like, man, I'm going to have to take some stuff out of that movie because it's kind of dramatic already.
People love drama. Wow, and I mean, it's insane. So, I mean, I think goal setting is probably kind of something you have to really work through, right? I mean, you said in high school you wanted to go to outer space. You probably knew from when you were a little boy what you wanted to do. You wanted to be a fighter, you know? So what is your advice for those trying to set goals for their career when they maybe think that something is not attainable in their life? Where do you start, right? I mean...
Going back to what she said, like, that's so true. Like, a lot of people are going to tell you it's not attainable, a dream or a goal you have, but they don't have to believe it. If you believe it, that's the only person that matters. You know, you believe it first, then they'll believe it when you do it. But setting goals, I like to, I wake up every morning and write. When I'm in training camp, I usually do 10-week training camp. I wake up every morning and write goals down, and then I go throughout my day and my actions align with my goals, and I set small milestones. And that just creates momentum going forward into these fights. Keep checking the boxes, controlling what I can control. I say this all the time, but I write a circle, and inside of the circle, I write everything I have control over. My diet, my work ethic, my accountability to showing up every practice, being there early, you know, a bunch of small things inside of that circle. And on the outside of the circle, I write everything that I can't control, opinions, my opponent's work ethic, all those things. And then I just kind of throughout training camp, periodically, I'll open that page and look, make sure I'm focusing on the things inside of that circle, because everything else is just noise. Mm-hmm. You know, you set small milestones and work towards your goal, and make sure that goal makes you nervous. You know, make sure it scares you. And then you're on the right track. You know you're doing something great.
I think that it's so important to be unrealistic. You have to. Because when you're trying to actually make it in this world and in this industry, it is already going to be so hard. When we think about how many people are actually trying to do it versus how many people are actually able to live off of it, the percentages are very low, right? And so you have to set these really, really big goals that might seem unattainable, because to a lot of people, based on their mindsets and the attitudes that they have towards those goals, maybe they are unattainable. So we have to understand that if you want something different, you have to be different. There's no way around it. Your attitude has to be different. The things that you do have to be different. Everything about the way that you're creating and the way that you're living your life has to be different. And that's scary. It is a terrifying thing to make a choice and to say, this is what I want. Nobody has done it before. I'm going to be the one to get it. That's kind of delusional, right? And so you really, truly have to believe it, but you also have to act. You can't just say it and you can't just think it. You have to actually make those changes in your life and in the way that you're acting so that you'll actually achieve it.
Absolutely. So I think, you know, you both have a very solid career. You know, you've gone to space, you're an engineer, you're a world-renowned fighter, but you guys also do so much more. It's not just a one-dimensional career that you guys are living. So how do you balance it all? I mean, not all content creators, that's their full-time job. They have day jobs. And, you know, I think something scary about creating content and just being kind of out there is time management. And like, how do you do it all? I mean, talk a little bit about what else you guys are doing. Because I know you're doing a lot, like in terms of changing laws and, you know, and you're doing a lot, you have your own brands and you have, you know, this family. And so how do you do it all?
For me, when I was a younger fighter, getting burnt out, overworking, overthinking was a huge part of my career. Like, I would work myself crazy to where I would burn out and not be in the best space mentally. Like, honestly, things really started changing when I had my daughter 6 years ago, and that kind of balanced things. You know, I could go to the gym, go to these fights, travel, and come back, be the fighter there, and then come back home and just be a little girl's dad. And that really put things in perspective and helped me start balancing out life. But yeah, you can't be too heavy anywhere, any direction in life. You have to balance and enjoy what you do, because at some point, even things that seem fun and creating content turns into a job at some point. When people are waiting on things and your schedule is backed up, you just got to find that flow and ground yourself.
So I'm going to tell you something that probably nobody tells you when we talk about work-life balance. It's not real. It doesn't exist. You have to prioritize things in your life depending on what's important to you in that moment. And you're never going to be able to give 100 to your work and 100 to your social life and 100 to your family. You're just not. And the sooner you realize that, the better. So what is it that you're going to do? Well, any given moment, you're going to try to understand what is it that needs me more in this moment. In this moment, maybe it's my family. So maybe right now I'm going to give my family 80 and I'm going to give my work 50. Well, now maybe you have something really big going on in your career. So now in this moment, maybe I'm going to give my career 80 and I'm going to talk to my family and make sure that they're okay with it, because maybe for a couple weeks, I'm going to give them 20, right? That's just the way that it works. And also, the sooner you realize that you are a business, the better, because you are going to have to hire people. If you actually want to scale up and grow, you have to start having a team. So just for a little bit of perspective, I'm going to talk a little bit about just the different projects that I have going on and how many people are actually behind that. Because sometimes we see the face of the image of the brand. Like, I'm sure you have plenty of people that are currently working on your team, right?
Yeah, I couldn't do this. I'm only one person. I have so
Yeah.
many people help me in every venture I have.
Yeah, but what you see is this face, and that's not really the reality. And I think that sometimes when people are just starting, it can be kind of scary. So right now I'm currently working on a space activities foundation in Mexico. We're going to be announcing in a couple months. I'm currently working on a constitutional reform in Mexico that is going to allow a space industry to develop. I'm currently working on Mexico's very first space research development center. I currently have an agency in the US, an agency in Mexico. And then I currently have a very large group of American lawyers, American accountants, Mexican lawyers, Mexican accountants, American assistants, Mexican assistants, and then assistants to the people that are assisting me on all of those different projects. So this is a very big thing, and it is scary. And at first it's hard because you don't really have the funds, but you feel that need to scale up, so it's a risk. But the sooner you take that risk, the better, because that's how you're actually going to be able to go into the next level of whatever it is you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, I think Ori hit on this with Anna and Anthony also, but what's y'all's take on, building your team? Like, when's the right time and how do you kind of do it at scale, right? Like, you don't want to move too fast, bring on this huge team, and you want to build your brand with a team, right? So when's the right time to kind of think through that?
You'll know when it's the right time, when you can't keep juggling everything and balance everything. But I think the most important part of that team building is people that you trust, people that you can count on, people that have the same idea and help you go into the direction you want to go with what you're doing. Because it's so easy to get lost in hiring people and allowing them to have control of things. And, this might not go the same route that you wanted it to. Being in touch with everyone and building a team that you can trust is very important in my experience. I have a team that we're all on the same page. We know which direction we're going. We know our goals, and everybody works together to make them happen at a timely manner. Building a team that you can trust and count on is first.
I think one of the very first things that can be kind of scary when you're a new content creator is, who do you even need, right? A lot of people think that the very first type of people that they need to hire are assistants when it comes to content. But I have found that the very first people you need to hire, even before you get that big, is a very good lawyer and a very good accountant. Those are the two things you need to focus on, because a very good lawyer is going to save you from making really bad mistakes when it comes to those contracts. I remember one of the very first contracts that I got, it was a really big Instagram account that wanted to reshare one of my reels. And I was so excited because they had millions of followers. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get so many followers from this. So exciting. And then I read it. And you basically, by signing this contract, are giving them the rights to all of your content for the rest of your life. And they're not even using the words in the whole world or in the US anymore. They're using now in the whole universe. So, and for me, that's kind of relevant. But I remember I saw that, and I remember I had seen so many big creators that they had reshared, and understanding that these big creators are now kind of screwed just because they didn't understand. So those very first two things, lawyer, accountant, please do not underestimate the importance of that for your future.
Yeah, understand what you're signing your life away, right? Okay, so talking about contracts, Dustin, I kind of want to look to you here. We have a really kind of fun story on the way we, started this partnership with you. You being on Team Galaxy officially, but you kind of you've always been with us. So you want to share kind of how we started this relationship?
Yeah, this relationship started organically. Like a lot of my partnerships I have all been organic, things that I use or things that I'm doing in training camp, and it became a partnership through me actually using the products. But Samsung was a fun one because I was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and we were talking about a surgery I had, and he was asking me to airdrop him. I guess he thought I had an iPhone in my pocket. He goes, "Can you airdrop my producer the picture so we can put it up to show everyone on the stream?" And I'm like, I can't air, I'm Samsung. And he's like, you got to switch over to iPhone. What are you doing? And I was like, what are you talking about? I've been Samsung for the last 10 years. And
Yes.
I'm like, Samsung gang. I was like, I'm Samsung for the last 10 years. I said, I even got my wife to switch over. And then, he was kind of doing what iPhone people do. Oh man, you on the wrong side. And I stood my ground. And then I went home after I did his podcast, and I got an email like a week later from Samsung. Hey, thanks for standing your ground. Thanks for being on Team Samsung. We'd love to send you out some stuff and start working with you. And I already had the watch. I had the computer. I had a bunch of Samsung things in my house because I've been Samsung for so long that there was just a really organic partnership. I was using the products, and here we are.
Yeah. We're so happy to have you. We're so happy that happened. So I think, it's interesting because you do work with brands as part of your career, and you do as well. You also own your own brands, right? So what's the balance? You kind of know how you want to work with a brand because you are a brand owner, and, you have your own foundations, so how would you, give advice to people who are trying to figure out navigating working through a brand, just in general?
For me, we can just go directly with the Samsung partnership. I like to align myself with brands that I'm actually using, and things like if it comes to training gear, I work with Everlast, but I was using their products and their equipment before the partnership started. It's just much more easier for me as a creator to plug in things. It's not like I'm carrying something in a backpack that I only pull out to take a picture and it seems forced. It's really natural because I'm using the product, so it's easy to get the content because I have it on me, using it every day, and it just makes sense. So I tell that to young fighters as well when they're trying to pick up sponsorships, whether it's a protein company or something. If you're using the product every day and you believe in it, those partnerships are easy to make happen because you're not going out of your way to post a picture. You have it on you, you're using it. It's just everyday life that you're snapping a shot of or sharing. Try to align yourself with companies that you really use. Because people feel that when you create content, people know if it's a commercial or whatever, they know, they can feel that authenticity through the video or the pictures. I'm talking about this stuff, and it's easy to talk about because I use them daily.
Yeah, I think going off of that, something that I've really adopted from the very beginning, because at first I was doing that thing too that Anna mentioned, right? Someone's like, hey, here's this case that holds cables, and we're not going to pay you, but we're just going to give it to you for free, and you're going to post it. And I'm like, sure, cool. But I started to realize that it was really important for me, especially because I don't have that much time, to really focus on the brands that I actually do care about and I actually do use, and that my followers already know that I use. And so now to them, it's a different perspective, because if they're seeing me with this product organically all the time, and then suddenly they see a partnership with that brand, they're not gonna be annoyed like, oh my gosh, she's selling to us. They're gonna be excited for me, because they're gonna think, wow, she finally started working with them after using and loving their products for so long. How cool. And that's really the change that you're going to be able to see. And also the type of content that you're going to make is going to be a lot more, not just organic, but also helpful. Mm-hmm. So as an engineer, a lot of people ask me what products I use. Right? So what laptop do you use? What cell phone do you use? Like, just in general, they want to know. But now they need to see my use of these products organically without any sponsorships, because I need them to trust me. And so something that I started doing, which is kind of funny to say out loud, but I start baiting the brands I want to work with. And so I start just kind of organically posting, kind of just like, low-key, like, oh, here's this thing. And then I have somebody on my team grab that piece of content and then send it over to them. And sure enough, within a couple days, it's like, hey, we want to work with you. So try doing that. That always works.
I mean, you be the one that opens the door to, the relationship. I think that's important.
And I think being authentic to the company you do work with, not posting about this company for 1 month and then get another opportunity, because things will come in and you want to jump on everything you can and make money and put yourself out there and be connected with these companies. But people feel that too. If I'm promoting something 1 week, the next week another company comes in that same realm and I'm promoting a different company, you have to be authentic. And that's why I try to align myself with long-term partnerships. That way we can grow together and it's real to my audience and it's real to me because I'm using it.
You guys are so inspiring. This went by so fast. But I thank you both so much for being here and talking about how you can turn, failure into success and stay motivated to accomplish all that you want. So thank you both so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
And for those of you on the live stream, please go check out the survey that's linked in the description and let us know if you want to be here to join us next year in person. Thank you, guys.